Whoa. That was not a good intro. Haha, what's up, everybody? It is December the 30th, end of the year. It doesn't really feel like the end of the year for me, but it is nonetheless the end of the year. And so, Happy New Year as we come to that day. And hello from Deutschland. As I speak to you, I am trying to get some updates, have that going on in the background for the Liverpool game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation with my wife. I say that also, and I told her earlier today. I said, a lot of people are responding to me and saying that they really like that. Folks have written to me in the comment section and emailed me and saying that they've thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with her. I hope that you guys through that were able to learn a little bit about me, and as you saw, the person that I live with, and how those things like matter, right? Like it shapes your character quite a bit. I was talking to my friends yesterday afterwards who were in the stream, and I said, like sometimes people will see you and interact with you, and they might, let me fix this. Some folks might actually think that, they're like, oh man, this guy's kind of rough around the edges. He seems like I don't know, like a mean guy or something like that. And then they'll meet your spouse and be like, oh, makes sense. She doesn't mind this stuff really because she's not that sort of a person. She's not that sort of a person that would mind that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, I appreciate the emails. I appreciate the feedback, guys. I'm glad that I'm always skeptical with some of that stuff with the internet. Like, how much of your personal life do you kind of expose the world to? And that's always an interesting question to me. And I'm not sure whether I have the answer for that. I'm not sure whether there is an answer to that. I got friends who won't post any pictures of their children on Instagram. Then I don't really mind that, but it's like then for my son, I have an Instagram account for him for soccer stuff. Now, he doesn't know that he has an Instagram account. I do that predominantly because I want to keep a record of him, like developing and growing and stuff like that. I think it'll be cool in the future for him to look back on. But nonetheless, he's in the public eye. So it's always kind of weird. Hit that like button, by the way. And we'll talk some of your questions. I'll give you some updates in regards to the ministry, and we'll go from there. So it's official. Cristiano Ronaldo has gone to, I forget Al Nassr or something like that, the Saudi Arabian team. And it seems like it's a 7-year deal with not only the team, it's 2 years of playing with the team and then 5 years of being an ambassador for the Saudi bid to host the World Cup, I think. So Interesting. I have, by the way, is the audio coming through well? I have kind of stayed a little back in regards to making videos on the Tate issue because I want more info to come out, and there's all sorts of rumors floating around. Some people are saying he's being detained. Some people are saying he's free. Some people are saying there's a rape and trafficking allegation. Some people are saying it's money laundering. I read something about organized crime. So I want all the info to come out and for me to make some kind of a statement on it. The statement I'm preparing and I want to make is not necessarily about that. It's his followers that I'm seeing, like, this whole thing about, like, so as he got arrested, I guess, he was handcuffed. He said the Matrix came for me. He makes these sorts of statements, and then his followers, there's a podcast of him, by the way, of saying the next thing would be for them to come up with some trumped up charges, arrest me, and then kill me. So people are saying, oh, look, that's exactly what he said was going to happen. They canceled him first. They couldn't cancel him. He's still big news. Now they're going to arrest him on some random charges, and then they're going to try to kill him or something like that. And for me, it's the cultish mentality behind all of this, like zero critical thinking. Look, it doesn't matter how much you like someone. It doesn't matter, like, we've all gone through this. We've had heroes. I've had heroes, specifically one of the faith who impacted me a great deal, that, allegations came out and then ended up, being true. Like the data that is in front of us is pretty much undeniable. And it's like, well, you got to admit it, as much as you might not want to admit it. It's just very interesting and funny to me that people will come up with reasons as to, oh, no, he didn't really do these things. Like, the guy literally is recorded as making statements about how he, like, conned people out of money. He's one of the most arrogant folks that I've ever had the displeasure of listening to. The other way, I was listening to a video where he kept talking about, with my big brain and my big intelligence, I'm able to fix and solve this and that. And it's like who likes that kind of arrogance, right? It's like, and people look up to this stuff. She said, oh no, you're a Liverpool fan? Oh, sorry. Oh man, Salah just wide. They've had two clear chances to make this 4-1. But it's not oh no, it's oh yes. It's oh, what a chance. Glorious. He's offsides. Man, you gotta finish that. Nikki, thank you. Yeah, like, we'll see how, like, people justify this. Look, the thing is that, like, so I saw, what is it? I'll read it, actually. A buddy of mine, I'll read this. A buddy of mine sent me a comment on a tweet, and I thought that was fair. I think this is a fair comment. So it's Tate in the morning wrote, the Matrix sent their agents. And then there's a guy on the bottom, Majid Nawaz, who's got a check mark next to his name. So, Liverpool almost got scored on. And this is a back and forth game. The guy wrote, may Allah guide you away from vanity and worshiping the material distractions of this matrix. It is not lost on us that you boast of 33 cars. 99 names of Allah are better than 33 idols. Read his word and make your tawbah before it's too late. You are not invincible. And then he put, like, a Quranic thing. I think that's, like, fair, right? Like, this dude's essentially calling him to repentance and saying, hey, man, stop being arrogant. Stop thinking that you're invincible and nobody can do anything to you. Like, humble yourself. I thought that was a fair statement. Thank you, Nikki. I got some awesome mods, by the way. So it seems like I've heard multiple reports, but the reports I was reading is that he's being held for 30 days. And I know there was people were saying there was like rape allegations and stuff like that. From what I've seen, it is organized crime kind of stuff. It's like 4 people have been detained. So you're always super low on my TV. I have to blast your streams. It's funny if I forget to drop the levels afterwards. My poor mom. So here's the thing. I have my volume up to like 50% on the mixer and then to like 80% on the digital mixer. But yeah, we'll see. That might be better. I might need to do that because whenever I edit my videos, I got to raise up the volume as well. Tate needs much prayer. Yeah, he does. And then God has a unique way of humbling people. So what up, bro? Quick question, but I wanted to know if there are Bible translations that should be avoided. Any specific ones that you know of? So translations. So recently there was, I haven't done much research on this. Mike Winger has, you can check him out, but there's something called the Passion Translation that some guy made up, I would say. And it seems like it's really, really bad and it's might be popular among some really charismatic folks, but the Passion Translation definitely should be avoided. I would say the Message should be avoided unless you're 5. Hey, I don't need trolls, by the way. I'm not really into that, and I just would appreciate respect. Whenever it says theology, apologetics, the Bible, ask me anything, it is common courtesy, and I suppose human decency and civility, right? For you to realize that the ask me anything is in the context of that. Just because we're behind keyboards and screens doesn't mean that we can just act in whatever way we want, because I think it should be of utter importance that ultimately we give an answer to God for whatever it is that we do. So yeah. What's up? What's up? We were just talking about life humbling you eventually. Amen to that. Yes. Yo, what up? What up? What up? Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Really do. Any support? I should say what I've done. I was at the bank today at like 9 a.m. trying to fix some stuff. But I really appreciate your ministry, Brother Arthur. You have answered all the questions I've asked and have done a music review per request. God bless you. And once again, thank you for being willing to make yourself available. Thank you very much. That's why we do what we do. It's just the reality of it. So appreciate it. There goes my monitor. No idea whether this keeps happening. The shuffle's about to come. Give me a second, guys. It's it's like a gamble. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. I love it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna move everything into a 2 monitor system and until we can rearrange and not rearrange, but go ahead and write your questions. We'll get to them. Okay, much better. Okay, again, thanks. Thank you for this. Really appreciate it. Not a troll. Yeah, I just again. Yeah, I get it. It's just yeah. I did see you yesterday. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the avatar is. I can't see. Just if you're gonna ask me stuff, look. I don't care whether people disagree with me. There's, I would say almost. Oh man, almost everybody here. I would disagree with a great amount of people in this chat and all that. Disagreement is more than welcome. It's not an issue, just as long as we do it respectfully. It's all good. Just getting off work. Oof. So we're just. What's your favorite translation? Oh, that's. I don't have my Bible with me. I'd say my favorite translation depends. The ESV would be my favorite translation. So I enjoy reading the ESV because it flows good and it's like a good middle of the ground between dynamic equivalency and a word for word translation. So I enjoy the ESV. But I read the New King James Version for a long time. Well, it's okay to be lazy when you've just had surgery. There's nothing wrong with being lazy. What I don't like about my screens not working is that I can't put the Bible passages and stuff. That's what's annoying. I'm just gonna go one screen here, one screen there, and be done with it. No, I didn't. What did y'all see Elon's tweet about CERN in Geneva, Switzerland? No, CERN is dangerous, man. It could like wipe away existence. I was telling my niece to ask forgiveness last night. When God forgives you, it's okay to forgive yourself. Christianity is powerful stuff. Amen to that. We were actually, a number of us yesterday, were hanging out after Bible study at my house, and we're speaking about this exact subject. And we're talking about how that's the power in Christianity comes with like self, like gurus and stuff like that. Self-realization gurus will talk about forgiving yourself and all this. But it's like you can forgive yourself all you want. If God hasn't forgiven you, there's a big problem there. But the opposite is true as well. If God's forgiven you, even you are not allowed to not forgive yourself. I mean, You can feel regret, and I think you can feel in a way where you're like, I shouldn't have done that and this and that. But God's forgiven you. Like, enjoy that. Enjoy that forgiveness. What does my name or avatar have to do with asking questions about the Bible? What's my favorite moral story of the Bible? Can you name a moral story in the Bible is my question. Like, which stories of the Bible are meant to teach moral lessons? This is a good question because it will guide us into like proper interpretation and how to look at passages. So give me an example of what you're thinking, of what you would mean by a moral story. So none of the epistles would be included in this. What would be a moral story? Moral story, by the way, meaning like it's a story and then the point of the story is whether you ought to do something or ought not to do something. That's what we're talking about. So give me what you're thinking about, what your reasoning is here, and then we'll look at it. This is a good thing to realize. Well, it's not like you're being lazy, right? Like you just had surgery. It's okay to rest. God has created us in ways where we need rest. Very, very dangerous. Ruslan flamed me in chat and called me a conspiracy theorist a while back for bringing up CERN. No, I don't know what the context of that conversation is, but they're doing dangerous stuff. Like if it's not under control, it's kind of like people working on like an atom bomb. You know, it explodes, killed a bunch of people, and I think CERN is pretty dangerous. So, in regards to what's his name said, I don't know. I don't know what he said. Would you give us your thoughts on 1 Corinthians 11, specifically verse 17 to 19? Give me a second. I'll come back to this. Are there themes or ideas in the Bible that don't relate to morality? Yeah, like all the narrative stories are not like moral stuff. So, Jacob lying to his father-in-law and tricking him and stuff like that. Like there's no moral lesson in there. It's a narrative. It's just telling you this is what happened. That's it. That's the purpose of narratives. So, yeah, I mean, could you look at it and say, don't be like this? Yeah, but the only way you can look at it and say, don't be like this is by looking at other passages and then having a general understanding of morality and then judging that individual. This is why I made a video in the past saying, don't glorify, I forget what it's called, but I think it was something like, don't idolize these Bible characters. And I mentioned how, like, some of these guys are really bad fathers. Like, just because they're in the Bible doesn't mean we ought to idolize them. And, people lose their minds over me saying stuff like that. Yes, I would need a story here that would fit the category. Job... Job have a moral lesson? maybe I'm thinking too narrow here in regards to like what would have a moral lesson to it. But Job has a lesson in it, but I don't know whether it's a moral one. The lesson in Job is that there's things that are beyond our understanding, and they are beyond the physical world of what we see. They are beyond the way we understand even justice and righteousness, in the sense of like, if you've been righteous, you're going to get rewarded, and if you've been unjust, you're going to get punished. Like, there's things that happen in the spiritual world beyond these things. I don't know if it's a moral lesson. Do you think it is biblical to think there are people in your own ministry congregation that aren't saved? My minister made a comment like this once. It's bothered me. He says, do you think it's biblical to think there are people in your own ministry or congregation? So, yeah, I think here, ministry and congregation are two different things. So, if you find out there are, like, if you are doubting the salvation of one of your elders at your church, that's a big problem. If you think there are congregants who aren't saved, I think that's completely normal. I mean, yeah, there are congregants, I would say, that are unsaved, and they come to church for whatever reason, and you would want them to become Christians. You would want them to get saved. On your ministry team, amongst your leadership team, elders and stuff like that, that's a big problem. And is it biblical to think, if you're thinking that, you shouldn't be in partnership in ministry with those people? How can non-Christians be serving within the Christian ministry? Greetings from the Netherlands. Hey, Netherlands. Come on. Salah, come on, man. Cody Gapko just signed for Liverpool. So that's 2 Dutch players now Liverpool has. One in the great and amazing Virgil van Dijk, and the other one, Cody Gapko. We'll see how he does. Hi, Cassidy. I didn't know this. They have statues of Shiva, satanic rituals for opening ceremony with Baphomet. Yeah, I've never heard any of this stuff. Email me some info. I think it's folklore that CERN can create a black hole. I highly doubt CERN can create a black hole, maybe in theory, but if it creates a black hole, then it probably will consume the earth, and that's why I say it's dangerous. From as little as I understand that stuff. There are people in every congregation that are not saved. Amen. I mean, if you've witnessed something, I wouldn't consider it unbiblical. Correct. I mean, it's weird how we use this word biblical and unbiblical. When I say something is biblical or unbiblical, I use it in 2 different ways. One being it's in the Bible. The other one being like the Bible teaches such and such a thing, or doesn't teach such and such a thing. I think it's important for elders and others in leadership positions. It's not only important, it's mandatory. It is absolutely mandatory. Correct. Like, dealing with it in the proper way is important. Arsenal is going to win the league. If Liverpool doesn't win the league, which it seems like they might not, unless some crazy stuff happens, like they don't lose a game from here on out and everybody else loses games. If there's any other team that I would want to actually win the league, it would be Arsenal. I wouldn't want Chelsea winning. I wouldn't want United winning. I wouldn't want City winning. It's very annoying, City. So, yeah. I really don't watch soccer, but it's great. The other thing about Cody Gapko is that it seems like he's a believer. And I like this because Liverpool now has a number of pretty solid believers, pretty outspoken believers, which is really cool to see. The goalkeeper, Alison Becker, who's Brazilian, is a believer. Fabinho, who's also a Brazilian, is a believer. And they together converted Firmino, the other Brazilian, who got baptized with him and his wife. He's been very outspoken. He's serving in his church. He's just, it's really cool. Like, the dude is posting devotionals and stuff like that. I loved what he posted yesterday about Pele's death. He wrote, "The king of football has now met the king of kings." That was a really cool thing he posted. And what I like about it is that he didn't say, "Oh, Pele's saved or isn't saved," or anything like that. It's just, hey, he's died now. He's met the real king. So that was really cool to see. And it seems like Cody Gapko is a believer. During the World Cup, one of his teammates, one of the Dutch guys, was saying how being there with Cody Gapko meant like his prayer life had improved. So that was really cool to see. Okay, CERN is not dangerous. They are colliding particles with each other. That happens all the time. In space, we have, how do you say this word? Muons traveling through us every minute. Okay. You guys smarter than me. Oh, man. This is horrendous. Do I have a boo button here? Let me see. I have sworn allegiance to Man United. No. Wow. Your brother played into his 40s. That's amazing. Maybe my issue is just with the view of salvation. As far as I know, everyone that goes to my church has been baptized. Is that not enough for salvation? No, it's not. What kind of a church do you go to, by the way? Let me know what kind of a church you go to. That will help me kind of break some of this stuff down. What if you started your streams with a Bible passage that you interpret the message and let it roll? Or is your channel about something different? No, I mean, I can do that. The thing is that it's not that I can't do that. It's also figuring out what you guys want. So I was actually thinking about, so I did these Q&As and then those shorter ones. It's not a Bible study channel, right? It's an apologetics channel. And like I've said before, I look at apologetics as a worldview thing. So it's interpreting whatever's happening in society from a Christian lens, and then having comments about it, and then how those things lead to us developing well enough for us to articulate our faith and share our faith with people and defend our faith whenever we need to. One of the things I was thinking about is having Bible studies for my Patreon supporters, maybe once a week doing a study. So that's my, so yeah. Makes sense. So if it is a Church of Christ, then yeah, they believe in baptismal regeneration. And they believe, Church of Christ believes, if it's the Church of Christ I'm thinking, then they would believe that baptism saves, which would be really strange that your pastor would say some are not saved, because like internally there would be a contradiction. What I would say is that you should really look back on this doctrine and reconsider it. I don't think baptism is necessary for salvation. I don't think the Bible teaches that. But yeah. Elon called CERN demonic. Elon's saying funny stuff, man. So when it comes to objective morality in the Bible, that just means following the commandments. It's hard to find moral lessons, etc. Those are just narratives that played out. So it's not just following the commandments. The commandments, I would say morality is like we are all created with an innate sense of morality. The 10 commandments are moral commandments for... Sorry, guys. Oh, wow. Tells you my attention span when I'm watching soccer. Liverpool got utterly lucky. The other team, Leicester City, had a one-on-one chance and hit the post. Wow. That was nuts. Man, I'm always scared of playing this team. They always get something random. Wow. Sorry, attention span moment. Guys, it's like the last 8 minutes of the game, by the way, so... Whew. Going back to the question. So yeah, this has to do with interpretation. Whenever you look at a certain genre, like you shouldn't be getting moral lessons from poetry, for example. You shouldn't be getting moral lessons from individuals that are just doing stuff, like living their lives. They're not acting in the like Moses, for example. In Islam, this is different, by the way. Muslims don't think these guys would do anything wrong. But in Christianity, we get the full picture of the kinds of people these dudes are. And like even God doesn't allow Moses to go into the promised land because he acts out in anger and in the name of the Lord, by the way. He uses God's name to justify his anger, you could say. God says, well, hey, look here, Moses, you're not going to be allowed to go into the promised land. So we have to be careful as to which of those stories we take as moral lessons. The Bible is not meant to be a moralizing kind of thing, right? Like and I know some pastors preach like this. They'll find stories and then... So some pastors will do that, and I think they're not doing a good job interpreting passages properly. If you have follow-up to this, go in and throw it my way. We'll talk about it. It's a good question. My local church is non-denominational, but looked up their history and they're associated with Church of God in Tennessee. I want to sneeze and it's not coming. Which is Holiness Pentecostal. Could you tell me more about Holiness? They might be Oneness Pentecostal. Are you sure they're not a Oneness church? You should look into it. Do they believe in the Trinity? It's a Holiness Pentecostal church, Church of God. Holiness churches kind of were a bit more well known. I guess they came out of Wesleyan churches, and so typically like Foursquare and Assemblies of God and stuff like that. Other than the Pentecostal aspect, if they're like balanced Pentecostals, I wouldn't have any issues with them. Like that wouldn't in any way bug me. Nah, but it's starting to feel mega churchish. Is it big? I actually, if you guys didn't watch Ruslan's conversation with his friend yesterday about mega churches, I think that was a really, really level-headed conversation. That I like that dude. I like the way he came at it. And I'm not a big fan of mega churches, but he made some good points. Got you. Need current events, Bible passages. Sometimes, Arthur, people want to be told what we need to hear, not what we want. I will keep that in mind. Can a person lose their salvation? Like, look, this is one of those things that is a controversial and it is an issue that Christians don't agree on. So I've had people that I've interviewed on my. I might actually host some kind of a debate on this. We'll see. But I got people who've come on my streams who didn't believe this, and I myself believe this. I think people. I wouldn't use the language of losing your salvation. I would just say that people can apostatize. They can walk away from the faith. But, that's not a hill I'm really willing to die on. I could be wrong about that. Also, I'm looking for good studies to do. Recommendations. Good studies. What I would say is you should learn to study the Bible for yourself. I have book recommendations in the description box. And I would recommend you buy a book called Introduction to Biblical Interpretation by Klein, Blomberg, and Hubbard. And read through that book and then learn how to interpret the Bible, and then interpret the Bible yourself when you're doing your reading. Like, create your own studies. Really hoping Liverpool can survive these next 3 minutes. Starting to think it's a oneness church. It might be. You didn't answer my question. Okay, I'll scroll back and look at it because I didn't see one. Do you celebrate any Jewish holidays? No. I don't celebrate any Jewish holidays. Why would I celebrate Jewish holidays? Hey, I appreciate it. No, it's great. I love hearing people's kind of recommendations, and people want to what they want to see. I'm cool with that. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it. Oh, it was with an at, so that's why I thought it was for someone else. I have a question. Your Bible says that God is just. Agha Abbas. But in the same Bible, God said in Exodus 25, he visits the sins of the parents onto the children, onto the third, fourth generation. How is that just? Well, very simply put, this is because there is a covenant. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. The Bible is separated into two major sections, which is covenants. The Old Covenant and the New Covenant. That's what testament means. Old Testament and New Testament. The word testament means covenant. God's interaction with his people in the Old Covenant system is under the Old Covenant. Under the Old Covenant, communal responsibility, right, was a thing. So not only does God judge and discipline those of the same household who ought to keep one another from sinning and doing evil things against God, because ultimately the reason is that they're living in the same household, by the way. That third and fourth generation is that they're living under the same roof, and they should have stopped that individual from committing those sins. So they're responsible by allowing those people. That's how it's just. What you're failing to understand, it seems to me, is that this is the rules and regulations of the covenant in which God judges people by. My question to you would be, Well, I would want to know what perspective you're coming from, Agha Abbas. Are you a Muslim? Is my question. To be more frank with you. Thoughts on studying the Apocrypha or other texts outside the Bible within the same time frame? Do it, absolutely. It will be beneficial to you. I did these things when I was in Bible college. It was a requirement as I was going through Bible college. Not only Apocrypha, but the pseudepigraphas, at least read them and know what's going on and what they're about. So, yeah. Sorry, so someone's hurt. Soccer players are funny. So yeah, study them. I haven't given more than 1 minute of my time on date. That's fine. I've had to. I've been forced to. Sins of the father is just how life works. What you do affects your children. That's not a punishment from God. Yeah, but that's not necessarily the context in which this Old Testament stuff's written in. So Agha Abbas is a Muslim. Okay. So yeah, I mean, typically, this when I read your Bible says X, Y, and Z, I just accidentally find this channel. Well, welcome, man. Welcome. Agha Abbas, where are you from? Abbas. I want to guess. Abbas. If that's your real kind of name. Are you Lebanese or Palestinian maybe? So welcome. You're more than welcome to be here as long as we're having a respectful conversation. Tate is the fakest Muslim Christian walking the earth. Amen to that. I think all the Muslims should amen that as well, considering my latest post short on that. From Pakistan. That's interesting. I've never met an Abbas from Pakistan. Oh, come on, dude. It's like 5 seconds to survive it. So, Behemoth, are you a Christian? Or did you? I don't know if you told me this or not. Maybe you did, and I'm just having a moment. I'm trying to figure out. Yes, game over. Yes, okay, done. Thank God. Tough win. The Christmas season wins are Christmas New Year's season wins are very difficult to come by. So the fact that it's not a tie, I'm a happy man. So let me know your religious background. This is really cool. From Pakistan. Yeah, I mean, that's the answer to your question. It's not that complicated when you understand Old Testament law. It's not complicated when you understand covenants in the Bible. Maybe the closest thing I can... No, you can't even. I'm trying to explain it in like the Islamic system. So yeah. What game were you watching? Liverpool-Leicester. Regarding sin and generations, when we commit sin, it not only affects ourselves, but also can affect our kids or friends or family or for generations. Okay, so we got to be very careful here, Dan, because the way the Bible is written in that context is not the way you're understanding this. Like, yeah, I sin, it's going to affect my children and stuff like that in various ways. There is a covenantal responsibility. There is a covenantal communal responsibility. I'll give you a perfect example of this. If there is sin in Israel, and that sin is of a certain kind and portion and stuff like that, God judges the nation entirely. Righteous, unrighteous, they all get judged, and they're kicked out of the land. Because as a nation, they are supposed to be, this is Old Testament covenant, faithful to Yahweh. And when they're not, God actually brings about that judgment and punishment on them, and they go into exile into Babylon. All of them, the righteous alongside the unrighteous, because there's a communal responsibility. I cannot understand is that if I made a sin, then why should my great-grandchildren has to pay for it since they have nothing to do with it? Again, you're misunderstanding this. We are not under this same covenant. I do not think, and neither does the Bible teach, that you are under the same covenant. Partly because your great-grandchild does not live with you and is not responsible at holding you accountable to your covenant commitment to Yahweh. This is why you don't understand it, is because you're completely ignoring the text's context and trying to apply it into your own life. So one of the things you guys got to be careful of doing when you do your hermeneutics is not ignoring the original audience and thinking that that book is written just for you. The Bible is written for you, but not to you. Okay, this is a very common statement in hermeneutics that we hear. I'm actually here, guys. I'll drop this in the comments. If anybody wants to call in, you're more than welcome to call in. And if you want to call in audio only, you can do that as well. How could that be sustainable form of judgment? I don't know what this, I can't make sense of this question. How could that be a sustainable form of judgment? What can be a sustainable form of what judgment? Yep. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Andrew Tate, by the way, on this podcast. I prefer the conversations to go the way they have been going. My brother sent me a I haven't seen it, a Kenneth Copeland video. Probably very dangerous stuff. My Tate short is doing the rounds on Instagram, it seems like. Got picked up again. So if anybody wants to call in. Yeah, so he didn't send it because he likes Copeland or thinks I should listen to him or something like that. So again, it's Muhammad E just commented on one of my videos, and it says, "This guy talking doesn't even know Christianity." I always love getting comments like this. They're so hilarious to me. It's like, dude, you don't think I know Christianity? Why don't you call me and let's talk? Here, that's exactly what he's gonna get. I'm on live right now. Why don't you call in? And let's see. These sorts of guys, Muslim or not, by the way, I can't tolerate very much. My KJV prison Bible was from Copeland Ministries. I immediately ripped the page of his photo out. There's a photo of him in the Bible? Why would they put a picture of him in the... Oh, my God. Like, okay, so I have... Where is it? Hang on, I'm going to bring a Bible and show you guys. I'll tell you what the difference is here. Okay, so this is an NRSV translation. You can't make it. Okay, it says Holy Bible on it, NRSV, and it is the Catholic edition of the NRSV. Now this is a Catholic Bible, and I don't even know how I got this. I think someone gave it to me, or so. Partly I have this because the NRSV is a New Revised Standard Version. Part of the reason is because it has the Apocrypha within it, right? And so I like it, and it's a nice Bible, like in regards to hardcover and all that stuff. But it's got a picture of Pope Benedict in it. Right, there's Pope Benedict in it, but like I get that, right? Like they're putting a picture of Pope Benedict in the Catholic Bible because, at least in Catholic theology, he's the head of the church. Like that's why they would, right? He's the vicar of Christ, as Catholics say. Why would Copeland's Ministries put Copeland's picture in the Bible? Oh. Folks are gonna be like, Arthur's got a Catholic Bible. I actually have two Catholic Bibles. I got a Bible over there. That's the New Jerusalem translation, which is an interesting translation. Oh, man. I was fortunate enough to receive a MacArthur Study Bible in LA County. That's cool. I take that over a Passion Translation any day. Yeah, amen. Amen to that. Nikki, thank you so much for this. For those who don't know, I preached a sermon at my church on Christmas. Well, not on Christmas. It was a week before Christmas. And it was like a two-part sermon kind of. So one of them is a more technical and stuff like that. But I decided to take that. I got good feedback from it, so I was like, you know what? Let me just take that and put it in on YouTube, and it's up on YouTube, and I've gotten some good feedback from that. I think people enjoyed that. So yeah, thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's like 30 minutes. COVID-19. Bro, how clueless do you have to be to do stuff like that? I have multiple Bibles for reference too. Yeah. Here's let me bring my Bibles. I'll showcase my Bibles. For those guys that say that I don't know anything about Christianity, this is for you. We're just having fun. Because hey, we ought to study. I use this. I got this Bible when I graduated seminary. It was really cool that they actually gave us a new American Standard Bible. So I haven't used this Bible for some time because I use it electronically for my studies. But this is the New American Standard Bible. It's more of a word for word translation. It's more of a literal translation for those who don't know the New American Standard Bible. So that's the New American Standard Bible. Every once in a while, I will access this Bible. This is the Bible in Armenian, and so tough to read. Lighting, but this is more of a difficult translation for reading. I have another Armenian Bible over there. It's much easier. In my efforts to learn Greek, I got the Reader's Edition of the Greek New Testament. Now, I know the alphabet well enough and stuff, but can't say I've made good use of this because I've been, tried learning Greek, put it down, tried learning it again. Still, one of these days I will. It's really cool having a pastor at our church now who knows Greek, and then we'll hopefully study together. The Reader's Edition is cool because it's got words that are the more difficult words that don't get used as much with the definitions of the words underneath them. So it helps, right, when you're reading and trying to figure stuff out. This is the New Testament. And then some time ago, someone got me this, which was really cool for my birthday. Now, this is the Tanakh. This is the Hebrew Bible, or what we call the Old Testament. And now this is an English to Hebrew. I don't know any Hebrew, but this is an English to Hebrew Bible. So it has Hebrew on one side and English on the other side. What is interesting to me about this, wow, this was given to me in 2008. Thanks for writing in there. What I like about this actually is the English translation is obviously different than those. Like, for example, I'll read out of the Tanakh, this, right, the JPS. What does JPS stand for? Let me read for you guys. The traditional Hebrew text and the new JPS translation, second edition. The Jewish Publication Society. For example, Genesis 1, verse 1 in the Tanakh reads, in this translation, when God began to create heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind from God sweeping over the water. You guys see the difference in translation there? That's because the word for spirit and wind are two different words. Sorry, not two different words, the same word. So the Spirit of God hovering over the water, the wind from God sweeping over the water. God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness. It's interesting how it starts, right? When God began to create the heaven and the earth. You could see why they would put wind in there instead of spirit, by the way. I think some translators are clearly informed by anti-Christian theology rather than the text. Oh man, I wish I had a Septuagint with me to see how the Septuagint translates it, if it's wind or not. So yeah, jumping back into the comments here. Wow, that's cool. I read a different translation each year. I'm doing an archaeology one for 23. That's interesting. Arthur has the stash. We have KJV. My husband has another with Apocrypha. Not sure which version. We are a Message and Passion Translation free household. Amen. Thank God. NASB is good, but poetry makes the poetry sounds too dry. I know, by the way, Future promised us a long time ago that there was going to be a profile picture that was going to come up, but it hasn't. Okay. Caught up on the comments, I guess. Where are we at, folks? Where are we at? And anything we want to throw out there? Many moons ago, she promised. Correct. Yes. So I'll tell you guys what I did today. I set up the nonprofit sort of stuff for Apologia Center during COVID when banks were closed, and basically I couldn't get an account going because we had to show up, but they didn't want people showing up. You guys know how it was. And one of the things that ended up happening was I signed up with a bank that was a smaller bank here in California, and it's bad bank. I'm not going to name it. Bad bank. The app doesn't work. The website doesn't work. You call in and it goes to messages, like just nonsense, right? Smaller banks, so that's problematic. So I finally went and got a Chase account today for Apologia Center, set that up, and it's good. It's set up. There's online banking, thank God. Zelle, people have been asking me, do you have Zelle? Can we Zelle you money? So I'll probably put the Zelle info in the description box as well, for those folks who just want to Zelle. Yeah. So it was such a headache that we got past. That's hour or so at the bank. Hours fly by when you're in good company, man. CSB is good, man. CSB is good. What used to be called the Holman translation. It's the Christian Standard Bible is a good translation. Definitely not putting my face in my pic. I'm way too private for all that. Just put like a AI version or something like that, like something that they can't make out. Like half of it is a robot or something like that. You can do something like that. And your name would go with something like, hey, that's a good idea. Your name is Future. Make it like very futuristic, robot-y kind of thing, and people can't make it out. That should be fine. And then it will be unique. There it is. You got the idea. haven't discussed much. Okay. Well, good question. Can you give your top three philosophers? So it's interesting that you say your top three philosophers. Usually, people will come up and say, who's your favorite philosopher?" And it's very difficult because you're not going to agree with everything these guys say. But if I were to pick, should I pick one from the top three or not? Is the question. Okay, I'm not going to pick one from the top three. Top three being Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Because I feel like Socrates and Plato should be in everyone's list. And if I pick those two guys, then I would have just one more. So, not in any specific order. Thomas Aquinas, Boethius, who would be a third? So yeah, we can't go with the top three. Who would I go with the third? Some of you guys are like, no modern guys. When the test of time proves you, I think you're good. But yeah, so Aquinas, Boethius. It's hard coming up with a third. Just for modernity purposes and an influence on epistemology, whether you like him or not, Descartes. Just to throw a wrench into the whole conversation. So, but if I were to pick one of the three, Plato. Just because I think if you read Plato, you're going to make sense of the rest of philosophy. Without reading Plato, it's very difficult to make sense of philosophy. It's like, where do you start when you're doing philosophy? Just read Plato. As has been said before, philosophy is Plato, and the rest of it is his footnote, right? Or the rest of philosophy is a footnote to Plato. That's just true. This is an interesting comment. You probably like Friedrich Nietzsche. I actually think Friedrich Nietzsche was a brilliant writer. It's really fun reading Nietzsche. Now, his ideas might not be as fun, but it's fun reading Nietzsche. I know you're non-denominational, but if you were forced to join one denomination, which one would it be? I like Locke as well, by the way. Kant, I'm not a big fan of. Locke is good. Like I said, Descartes, yeah. What denomination would I be? Oh, man. These are tough questions. The closest thing would be Baptist. To to the position I hold. If I were to go with a position that I didn't hold, and like really be okay with some stuff that I'm not really okay with, but like have a trade-off. Let's just say like there's a bunch of stuff that I'm not okay with. Say like infant baptism or something like that. I'm not okay with it. And but say there's a trade-off. Anglican would be a route to go. And it wouldn't be like, it would essentially be like traditional Anglicanism in regards to services. There's something really good about things of that sort. So yeah. No, don't pick up your stones just yet, folks. Why did Paul shave his head in Acts 18? It seems like he is, it's some kind of a cleansing ritual that he's doing to prove to people that he's still Jewish, essentially, like he believes in the God of Israel, and it's, you know, it's to make a connection. It's a, I would say it's an evangelistic maneuver. Hey, what's up? What's up, Truth? Oh, by the way, you guys want a podcast? This is very good. And I've put this on hold for a while for some reason, but I would say the best podcast you can listen to learn philosophy is a podcast. It is a podcast called "The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps." The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. And just start listening from the beginning and just go throughout. The gentleman that runs it has been running it for some time now. I think it's on episode like 400 something, and does a really good job. They're quick listens, compact. And one of the things that I really appreciate about him is that he's very fair to Christian and non-Christian philosophers, like Muslim philosophers. So in the podcast, I'm actually in the history of time. He kind of takes this excursus, right? He takes this kind of rabbit trail and goes into philosophy in the Islamic world. So these are all philosophers when Islam was kind of dominant, and this not necessarily Muslim philosophers, but not excluding, obviously. So there's plenty of Muslim philosophers he deals with, but also Christian philosophers and Jewish philosophers, like Moses Maimonides, by the way, within the Islamic world. And then even interfaith philosophical dialogue between Christian, Muslim, and Jewish philosophers. Brilliant podcast to listen to. The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. So that comment reminded me of that. Back home for the Christmas break. On Christmas, our family went to a local Anglican church. It is like the only conservative Anglican church in our whole region. Well, at least it is conservative. That Santos guy is Catholic and Jewish. What's Santos guy? What are we talking about? The sermon was very good, and it was a high church service. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I would guess you would agree a lot with the Mennonite Brethren denomination. Yeah, I probably would, considering the Wesleyanism in there and stuff like that. Why am I remembering that they're pacifists? Are they? Are Mennonites pacifists? It might be. I knew there was something in there. You know, whenever I doubt myself, and then I was like, you know, there is something in there. So, yeah, a majority of early Mennonite followers, rather than fighting, survived by fleeing to neighboring states where ruling families were tolerant of their belief in believers' baptism. Over the years, Mennonites have become known as one of the historic peace churches due to their commitment to pacifism. Yeah, that I wouldn't agree with. Even though I would prefer to live in a world where everybody was a pacifist. And we just used our guns to shoot like random objects because that's fun, like bottles, and watch them explode. So yeah, right, like just war theory and things of this sort. Like, I would be okay with this. Um, War sucks for everyone. Really does. Everyone involved. Well, guys, we've been on for an hour and 22 minutes. We have some folks over, and I have to go and have lunch with my family. Look, I'm not going to see you till 2023. Might post something, I don't know, depending on how my recording goes today. Got to do some research on that Tate stuff. I'm actually going to make 2 videos on Tate, maybe. One for sure. The second one, depending on how this information that's coming out goes. And maybe even a New Year's kind of thing. Maybe I'll make a video about New Year's resolutions and how they suck and we shouldn't make New Year's resolutions. But you got my view there. Thanks for joining, guys. If I'm just going to put this out there, if you are, some people hold off on their donations and then they give end of the year donations. If you haven't given end of the year donations and you would like to consider giving end of the year donations to us, there's one-time giving opportunities through Venmo. Like I said, you can Zelle us now. Through Cash App, you can, or you just want to become a patron, or you want to do a one-time Patreon membership that does yearly. That's an option too on Patreon. We would really appreciate that to continue doing what we're doing. Or become a channel member. That's open. Channel membership. I kept that low. And thanks for joining us. I will see you guys in the new year. Happy New Year. Enjoy your friends and your family. Enjoy this time with them. It is special and important. And try not to be on your phone too much. Be present with folks, your children especially, if you have children. They're just your community. Thank you, guys. Always appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Appreciate your love. And everything that you guys do for this channel. 2023, I think we're going to see this channel boom. The goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers in 2023. That's the goal. We go beyond that, it's all bonus. The goal is to hit 10,000. We're almost at 3,500. I think it's doable. Take care. God bless you guys. I will see you later.